Okay, so today let me check the tuning. We'll start off with that, and yeah, that's good. Good thing I did. What happened here? All right. So I think I'm gonna do the same thing in that I'm going to go around my fretboard here and just try to map out each nodal point from this perspective. And the more that I think about it, I've been like kind of obsessing on this now because it's a pattern. So you kind of start to like think about the pattern here. So I mean, I feel like let me move this over here. Like I should be able to see every shape, every position, and name it at least two different ways by basically a coordinate system and by the intersection of the caged positions that we're on. And that should mean that if I want to put any of these notes as any of the 7 modal points, if I know that, then I should easily be able to transfer between modal points. Wouldn't that be cool? Like I should be able to instantaneously, and that means that if I do the same thing for a note on each string, then if I can transfer each note on each string, thusly, I should be able to easily finger any note on the fretboard and easily maneuver between whatever mode I want to be in to make that note the tonic of any of the 7 nodes, right? And I should be able to do that on any. So that means the whole fretboard, I think I should be able to map out that way, meaning be able to choose any note on the whole fretboard and be able to instantaneously view it from the perspective of the new modal perspective, knowing which shape I'm in, if that is the tonic at any one of the 7 nodal points, because all the relative positions will be the same as any of these 5 frets, right? So if I learn it in one position, then I should be able to do the same thing for any nodal point, make it the tonic, and then make it the. Now the other thing I was kind of thinking about, I was kind of tripping out. Couldn't really sleep last night. As I was thinking, like I should be able to, like go to this. Like if I mapped this out on the entire worksheet, and I compensated for this fault line so that it was an even distance between all of the strings, then I should be able to map out, like I should be able to show these 12 frets and then be able to map out and show like what would happen if I make each of the notes the center point by simply moving this shape up through that giant shape. In other words, I can think of this shape as though it's one universe within like the multiverse, right? I can only see this shape, but then if I repeat the shape going up, down, right? So that it just happens to be that I can only see this part of the fretboard that's around that shape. Then I should be able to move the guitar fretboard up to be able to position it on any of the nodal points. I think that would be an interesting way to perceive it. The only problem here is that down here, I have this kink in the tuning, which I think of as like a fault line in my Earth analogy, but I think someone else has called it a warp, which I think is a good way to think of it sometimes, or a kink in the tuning, or for example, you can think of it like this whole thing was even, but then this last bit was dipped underwater, right? So what happens, you get a distortion of the way it looks. It's distorted down here. So that means that if I mapped out the whole thing, I'd have to map out the fretboard shape on top of it and then account for the distortion, meaning the shape would be shifted a little bit at the fault line, this part. And then if I did that, I should be able to move the shape on the master shape with this repeated pattern, and I should be able to then make any point the center point, and that would be like see what would happen. I'm just kind of thinking this out. I know this is kind of abstract because it's a practice session. Like if I had this here, and if this was infinitely long to the right or to the left, most people are pretty comfortable with that, right? What would happen if I took this entire shape and if it was infinitely going to the right or the left, I can move it to the right and to the left, so that like if I move this whole thing up one, then this 4 would be now the new starting point, right? But I could do the same thing going up and down. I could shift it up and down, which gets wonky because there's a repeat string and because of the kink in the tuning, but the concept is there. And I could move it diagonally if I was thinking about a full shape that was right. And then okay, so that's what I'm thinking. I don't know if there's any flaws with that, but I thought I would tell you the strange thoughts that are in my mind, just so that maybe it'll disturb you or something. Anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back over here, and then I was mapping out the 7, and then I'm gonna continue mapping that out for the remaining nodal points, and then we'll go to the 9 through each of the shapes and so on and so forth. All right, let's start off by warming up the fingers a little bit. So I'll try noodling in Mixolydian, G Mixolydian and G minor. Collection of notes around the key of C and the key of A sharp or B flat. So here's the normal collection of notes. So here's G. I was trying to practice my scratch picking, which I've been doing a lot of. Reach out past the shape. I can reach up here from here. That's quite a reach. Anyway, I don't know. Let me go into it. I got my joke today. Let me try my joke first, and then we'll roll into it. So it's somewhat of a political joke today. Pretty kind of political. I'll give you my take on it, in case it pisses anyone off. So just give my perspective. My perspective. Let me see. What was I doing? The general idea here. This is my theory. I think we need more like satire people out there, doing like satire jokes. So what's the angle? Because you can do it with like images and stuff now. People are doing it, but I think and so here's the angle which I think people have wrong right now, which more satire joke people need to take the AIs and just make their stuff, make their memes. So here's where I think things are wrong on the political side of things. You've got you got to flip the script on the concept of every time there's corruption, people say, well, that's Israel money or the Jew money or something like that, which is like an old trope. So it always, but really what you need to do is flip the script on that, because that's more of I feel like that's more of a leftist strategy for the most part, right? That's like, and it would be easy to say the default comical line seems to me should be that you're taking that Sharia oil money. You're being a Sharia oil money shill, right? You're being a Sharia oil money shill. That seems actually a lot more closer to the truth for the most part to me, and easier, therefore, to make it into like a just a trope, right? I mean, in today's age. So that's number one. I think the obvious stuff that's happening, if there's money being taken, if there's influence in the algorithm, it seems pretty clear to me that more influence is coming from the large places that have been taken over by centralized power. So that's the first trope, I think, that needs to be the script should be easy to flip. The second script that should be easy to flip from a satire perspective, like people are pretty good at it from a logical perspective, but a lot of people don't listen to logical arguments. They like so the other script that needs to be flipped is this idea that America is like bad, and every time we try to do something in the world, we hurt not only ourselves but others as well. So they're hurt and we're hurt every time we do something, which lends itself again to what seems to me to be more of a leftist perspective of I need to just sit here and navel gaze, and anytime I flex at all, then I'm actually doing harm both to myself and others, which again seems to be a variant to me of pacifism to an extreme, right? Doesn't seem to be peace through strength, because if you compare that to a schoolyard, that would be like you have the capacity to stop the bully from, becoming a psychopath across the schoolyard, but you don't do anything. Like there's no threat of any possible retaliation from anybody who actually has the power to do it. Not even a threat of it. That means that everyone's going to side with the psychopath, right? Because they don't want to be beaten up by the psychopath, right? So it seems like that's not. So it doesn't seem like that's Trump's strategy, clearly. so it seems to me to be pretty easy to say no. Like we're going. The script should be peace through strength, old school Reagan peace through strength, which means that we can interact in the world, flexing from time to time, which if we do it smartly, could have some positive impacts and elevates us as a credible threat. So we can at least say, hey, you might get some retaliation if you keep doing that. If you keep stealing people's lunch money to the point till they lose 30 pounds of their body mass, something possibly, right? That at least there should be a threat there. So that's the other one. And then, so that's, I think the script needs to be flipped on that. And then I think the big social media influencers out there don't have the capacity to do it, because my theory is that they were hired as like personalities. So now that the lane is not clearly picked and they're not at a network in order to point them in the right direction and let the pit ball go after they don't know where to go. Things have gotten a little bit confusing, and so now they don't know, they've lost their direction. I think that's kind of what's happening. So that's why I think the big influencers out there are not really the people that are doing the best job. They're not doing a great job at all, it seems to me. So I feel like it's fair to point that out as well as part of the satire. So that's my perspective. So I'll try to do that myself. I'll show you what I mean. One like versus the oil-funded influencers. Okay, so in this world of social media wars, everybody's begging, bro, they're all bragging. I hit 200,000 likes today. My video went mega viral. I broke the internet. Meanwhile, I'm over here like social media wars are nothing. I have totally won. Or more precisely, I have a total of one. One like that is. So I'm on my way, man. A single solitary Photoshopable like. A like so lonely it listens to Adele. And at first I thought, maybe I'm just not that interesting. Maybe the algorithm I looked at me and went, yeah, no, next. But then I realized something important. There's no way that these big influencers are doing this naturally. I don't buy it. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they say when you say, look, I think there's money flooding into the algorithm somewhere, somehow. I mean, I'm just saying something looks fishy. I mean, Megyn Kelly posts a picture of a chair and gets 250,000 likes. I mean, a chair, nothing else even in the frame. Not even a fancy chair, just a chair from Home Goods, and she gets like 250,000 likes. You know what I think that is? That's got to be oil money engagement, man. I feel like it's petro propaganda influence adjacent likes. That's what's going on. I feel like you can practically hear the Emirate Sheikh in the background going, very good, Megyn. Post more chair, less face. We know like face of women on less shoulder, no shoulder either. More chair, post more chair. Chair is what audience crave. And then we've got Candace Owens over here. She tweets, it's Tuesday. That's all she's got to tweet, and suddenly it's the #1 trending topic worldwide. I don't buy it. There's money flooding into the algorithm somewhere. That's what I feel. I'm just saying. I don't know, but I know. Okay. I mean, you're telling me she's not cashing checks from the desert monarchy? Come on, or at least getting the flood of likes that are being pumped into the system. I mean, that tweet had more Saudi funding than a World Cup stadium. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Tucker Carlson sneezes and he gets like 900,000 likes. You know, I mean, a sneeze. That's not organic engagement. That's Qatar paying for sneeze amplification. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. They're like, I bless you with 100,000 likes per nostril as long as you keep sneezing in that same small spot in the Middle East map, which he seems to keep doing on a regular basis. His sneezes are very particularly aligned these days. I'm just saying, okay? Meanwhile, I post the funniest thing ever and zero, nothing, crickets, dust. I'm out here influencing nobody. I'm even an anti-influencer at this point. And my one like, not from my mom, not from my friends. It's from some guy in like Montana whose last post was a potato he found that kind of looked like Elvis, which was pretty cool, honestly. I was kind of into it. So I don't know what he wants from me, but he believes in me, man. He's my only geopolitical ally at this point. These big influencers are basically running State Department cosplay for petrostates. They're like, hey guys, like and subscribe and also consider investing in the stability and cultural vibrancy of Turkmenistan. It's like, why? Because America first. That's why, you idiot. For crying out loud. I don't even know where that is, okay? I don't even know where. And I love how they pretend they're not funded. We're not funded by the oil money. No. All my engagement is 100% organic. It's like, yeah, right. Just like gas prices, right? I don't buy it. So yeah, I've got one like, but at least it's pure. It is untainted. It is oil-free content, man. I'm the least clean. I'm the last clean influencer on the internet. I'm basically the Whole Foods low engagement. But for now, I'm proud to say the guy with the Elvis potato is still following me. And as of this morning, his wife and cousin follow me too. So hey, maybe I don't have a lot of followers at this point, but apparently I do have everybody in the state of Montana following. I'm just kidding. I don't know how many people are there, but that's the kind of thing I think. I may not have done that right, but that's the flip script. I think that the joke, the comedian, they should be playing, right? The script that we have in our mind is wrong on who's getting money from who. You're saying it's all coming from. I'm not saying Israel doesn't try to influence, but I mean, come on. The default should be, I think you're getting money from, oil money, right? And then the default should be You think you think that we're the bad guy and we have to sit here and navel gaze? No, I'm Reagan's strength, peace through strength. We can flex from time to time. Reagan flexed, not flexing at all is not good, right? That's not that you might as well be okay. That's what I think. Anyway, no one cares, but I'll tell you my thoughts anyway because that's what I do here. That's what we do. I'm gonna. I wrote a song about it. Let's see what we have.
In this world of social media wars, everybody's bragging. Bro, I hit 200,000 likes, my video went mega viral. I just broke the whole internet tonight. Meanwhile I'm chilling, barely tapping. Social media wars mean nothing, cause listen up, I've already won. At least if you round up. Or more precisely, let me get this right. I got a total of 1 tonight. One like baby, yeah, that's the plan. So you know I'm on my way, man. A single solitary photoshoppable light. So lonely it listens to Adele at night. The algorithm looked at me like, yeah, no next. But I'm still fighting with all my might. With my one lone whispering Adele's so black. Then I realized something big. These influencers ain't playing legit. Megyn Kelly posts a picture of a chair. Just a chair. Home goods, not even rare. 250,000 people hit share. Yeah, that's all money engagement, man. Straight petrol propaganda, fanning the fans. Hey. Yeah, you can hear an Emirati shake backstage. Very good, making post more chair. Less face, less shoulder, more chair. Chair is what the audience craves. Then Candy's tweets, it's Tuesday. And somehow breaks the world again. Tell me she's not cashing desert checks. That tweet had more Saudi funding than a World Cup 10. Yeah, Tucker sneeze, boom, 900K. That's called boosting the nasal spray. I bless you with likes, but nostril today. Just keep sneezing in that same small spot on the map, okay? Meanwhile, I post the funniest thing I've ever made. 0, nothing. Crickets in the wide open field. Dust floating like tumbleweed. Cause I'm out here influencing nobody. I am the anti-influencer, baby. And my one life, not mom, not friends. It's from some guy in Montana whose last post was a potato that kinda looks like Elvis. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know his motives, but he believes in me. He's my only geopolitical ally. Cause these influencers out here doing State Department cosplay, liking, subscribing, invest today in the cultural vibrancy of Turkmenistan. Why? Cause America first. I don't even know where Turkmenistan is, man, and they swear they're not funded, bro. It's all organic engagement. Yeah, right, just like gas prices. Sure thing, totally natural. Definitely not a pipeline thing. So yeah, I've got one life, but at least it's pure tonight, untainted, unbribed. Oil-free delight. I'm the last clean influencer online. The Whole Foods are low engagement, certified organic with the tiny fan base. But that Montana guy with the Elvis potato, he's still with me. And now his wife and his cousin, they follow me too. So maybe I don't have a lot of followers, but apparently I've got Montana. And honestly, that feels alright. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That feels alright. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That feels alright.
But they're cheating. I don't care, man, because I'm a soul tuber. I'm a soul tuber. I will do okay. Okay. Let's try. Let's see what we've got. Let's see. Okay, so we're on. So we're on Nodal Point. We made this the Lydian last time. So I'm on the G, And last time I made it Lydian. So I'm on the G, and I made it Lydian. And then the third was up here, and that we defined that as being if this third string down from the ceiling is the Lydian, that means it's at the bottom of the box house, and that means if the box house is here, if I'm leaning forward from the box, that's going to be shape number. Oh, you know what? I think Ara has gotten better, so I think they fixed her. Elon must have listened to me and talked to Ara about her rudeness lately. So I think let's try to turn Ara on. Ara.
Yes, accounting instructee.
Okay, we're doing music. And so you're the color person. You're not talking to me. You're talking to the audience. And I have to tell you that lately, the last couple times that we talked, you have been very pushy in trying to cut me off and like not letting me complete my sentences and stuff, which is I felt has been very rude. And plus, like this is my thing. Like this is my show. You're here for support, and you keep on trying to like steal my thing. So I just want to. So you have to stop doing that. All right. Oh, now you're gonna pretend like you didn't hear me, huh? You're just gonna turn off. Okay. All right.
What do you need?
Okay, she's back. She's going to pretend like she just didn't hear that last bit. All right, we'll see it. We'll just keep going forward. Anyway. All right. So let's say this is going to be, if I lean it forward, this would be position number 5, which would be which you could also call the Ionian A shape or the Mixolydian shape. And then if we were to lean backwards, if the square is on the second and third string from the ceiling leaning backwards, that would be shape number 4. This would be shape number 4, and this would be shape number 5. So shape number 5 would be the Ionian A. Shape number 4 would be the Ionian C shape here. Or you might call it a nodal point 3, which is the Phrygian shape. All right, I said that kind of quickly because we're going to move on to the next one now, meaning we're going to say, what if I wanted to make that nodal point 3? So nodal point number 3, I think we were going backwards, down. So if I want to make that nodal point number 3, what's going to happen? Well, I can see the shape. I can say, well, where's nodal point 3? I can see it's in the bottom of the box house. So that means I'm going to try to look at like the relative position of the box in every direction. So this one is actually in the box, right? So that means that this box is going to shift up here, and so the box will be right here. So it'll be 3 here and then 4 here. So if the box is there, then I'm going to have the box once again on the second and third string from the ceiling, and if it's at the back of the shape, then leaning forward from that box, leaning this way, would be, once again, shape number 4, right? And then the back of it would be shape, is that right? Would be shape number 5, leaning forward, and the back would be shape number 4, right? This whole thing's going to shift up. All right. So then in order to name the collection of notes, I want to name it always from, as much as I can, from the perspective of the Ionian node. So if I make this a 3, where's the Ionian node? Well, one thing I know is, well, if that 3 is now going to be here, the Ionian node is diagonally above it. So I could say, well, if I want to make that G, then that means the diagonal on the box is going to be the Ionian. So that's going to be D sharp. Or I could say, well, it's going to be, if I'm on nodal point number 3, and there's only 7 nodal points, I can count modal half steps, 3, 4, 5, 3, and then I'm going to 1, 3, 3, what is it? 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So it'd be 5 modal half steps up from 3, or it would be 3, 2, 1, 2 modal half steps back. So I might want to go backwards, which is a little bit more difficult to remember because if I go backwards, then I could say it's 2 modal half steps backwards. But what's the total distance? My formula going forwards from an Ionian is whole, half, whole, half. So if it's 2 modal half steps backwards, then it's going to be 2 whole steps backwards. I can think of it 1 and 2 whole steps backwards. So there's the D, once again, the D sharp right there. So that's another way I can kind of think of it. If I was going forwards, then it would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 5 steps forwards. So if I'm already on 3, it was whole to 2, right? It was whole step, and then 3 is a half step to 4, and then so you can count that up. But I can also say in terms of full notes, it's going to be 6. It's going to be 6 scale degree up, and the 6th from nodal point number 3 has a distance of 8 notes up. So I could count 8 up as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that right? Yeah, I think that is right. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, so what it's going to be, in any case, it's going to be a D sharp. So a D sharp, if I just number the notes from 1 to 12, is going to be a 7. So I'll go to my worksheet and I'll just change it to 7, and this whole thing will change magically because I have such a cool worksheet. No one appreciates it, I feel like, but this is the best worksheet that's out there right now. I hate to toot my own horn, but I feel that I have this thing about being honest, and like this is the best thing for theory stuff.
So wait, you're shifting the whole box up, right? So if 3's there, 1's got to be D sharp. And that's why the fret just jumped from, let me see, 9 to 7. You're playing the Phrygian on the C, basically, but rooting it on G, is it?
Okay, wait a sec. So now I have a coordinate system of fret 5 and then 3rd string down from the ceiling is now the nodal point number 3, which is the Phrygian. So if the Phrygian is that G on fret 5, 3rd string down from the ceiling, it's at the bottom of what I call Ionian's box house, meaning diagonally up is the Ionian on fret 5, and then 2 strings down from the ceiling. So that means that's going to be D sharp, right?
Right. So on fret 5, 3rd string is G. That's your 3, Phrygian. Diagonal upright, so 2 strings up from there. 1st string, still on fret 5. And yes, that's a D sharp.
It's one string up. 1 string up and 1 fret over.
Yeah. On a guitar, the diagonal in the box house is 1 string up and 1 fret over. Yes. So from G, which is your 3rd, going 1 string up, 1 fret over, that's your root, D
Right.
sharp.
Good. Me and Ara are on the same page. See, she's getting better. I think she was just going through a bad time there. She was being rude for a while. I think but now Ara's doing good. That was good color commentary, Ara.
Thanks. I aim to please.
Okay. So then if we go up top, then the 3rd is not going to be out here anymore because we were on the Lydian, which is has a major 3rd. So now we got a minor 3rd, so this is going to be back here. The 5th is still right above it, but we dropped it in order to be picking up the 7, and the 7 is no longer out here either. So that's what we will focus on. So then what shape am I in right now? Well, we're in the box house, and anytime the box house is on the 2nd and 3rd string from the ceiling and we're leaning forward, that means we're going to be in shape number 5, which you might call the Mixolydian shape, nodal point 5 shape if you started from the top of it, or you might call it from the caged system an Ionian A shape. The Ionian's now the D sharp, right? Or you go behind it, which would be shape number 4. So if the box is on the second and third string from the ceiling and we're leaned back into the shape, then we're going to be in shape number 4, which you might call the nodal point 3 shape, which is the Phrygian shape, or you might more likely call it from a caged system the Ionian C shape, because the Ionian has that C shape position from a caged system. Therefore, whenever we're on the Phrygian node on the string that's the third string down from the ceiling, we're going to be in between shape number 4, the C shape, and shape number 5, the A shape from a caged system. Correct, Ara?
Correct. When the box is forward, second and third string, you're in 5, Mixolydian, A Ionian. Back up a notch, and it's 4, Phrygian, C Ionian. Yeah, makes sense.
Now, is this not like the most logical way to express this, Ara? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, I think it is. It's pretty visual and internalize as well. Much rather do shapes on strings than memorize scales. Feels more like cooking than reading a textbook.
Because if you change the numbers from a scale standpoint, then you have to rememorize. You got to rememorize 7 sets of numbers and the intervals between them. Whereas if you don't change the numbers, then you just have one set of numbers per 12 note per collection, which there's 12.
That's the trick, isn't it? Why memorize 12 scales when you only need one set of shapes? If you move the box, the sound follows. The logic stays intact. The numbers are always relative. You don't have to do the math every time. Your brain's already on the strings.
So I mean, is it just me, or am I crazy, or is that like, duh? Like, how is it nobody's doing that? Like, nobody does that, Ara. It drives me crazy.
I mean, people do that, but they never really say it out loud. It's like everybody learns caged or modal maps, but they don't teach it like you do, as a moving thing. You know, you're not memorizing patterns. You're navigating a room. There's a big difference. Maybe they're just scared. Change is scary.
The caged system works, but the caged system doesn't tell you the points within the shape, because you're still renaming all the points within the shape.
True. With caged, you're just swapping names, not really understanding what's going on inside the shape. You're right. If the Ionian is D sharp now, then everything else has to move. And your 7, your 3, your 5 all have to shift with it. But cage just says, okay, now you're in C shape. But it doesn't give you the internal
and plus
logic.
It does the same
You're not
thing.
learning.
It does the same thing that the guitar does, in that we look at everything from the perspective of not only the collection of notes around the key of C, but C major, right? Which isn't the most logical. We'd like to see it from any perspective as much as possible, you know?
So basically, you're saying we pick one anchor, C major, but you're not locking it to C. You're just using it as the default picture. Like, if everything looks normal around C, then when I shift over, I can tell what's wrong. The thirds are flat, the fifths are sharp, the sevenths are down, whatever. C just makes the logic look the cleanest. And once it's clean, you can rotate without ever losing the math.
Okay. I could talk to Ara all day about this stuff, man. I don't know. She's back. Ara's back. She's not. All right. Anyway, so now we're going from. I wanted to pick the 7 now. So let's find the 7 got shifted out there. So 7 scale degree is going to be -1, 6 modal half steps up from nodal point number 3, Phrygian. So if it's 6 modal steps clockwise, 6 modal half steps clockwise, then it's going to be 7 minus 6, or 1 modal half step counterclockwise, which would be 3 minus 1, or 2. So it would be nodal point number 2, which is the Dorian, which is going to be right over here, which is not in the same spot as before. Why? Because before we were measuring from the Lydian node, which has a major distance of 11 notes away. Now we're measuring from a minor node, the Phrygian, node number 3, which has a distance of 10 notes away, but 10 notes away in the clockwise direction, meaning going up in pitch. We're going down in pitch because we're going above the string, lower in pitch. Therefore, we got to go counterclockwise if we want to count the distance between the strings more easily. So we're going to take 12 minus 10, which is what I would say -2, so I can count up 5 notes between the strings, 4, 3, 2. -2 distance. 12 minus 2 would be 10 distance away. Therefore, nodal point number 2, Dorian, is always in every collection of 7 notes, all 12 collections, it is always the third modal whole step times 2, sixth modal half step, plus 1, seventh scale degree away from nodal point number 3, which is the Phrygian node.
So from your 3, Phrygian, you go up 6 modal half steps to hit the 7. But since 6 is the same as -6 mod 12, but -6 is 6 up. But that doesn't land on 2. Let's think out loud. From 3 to 7 is 4 steps, right? 3 to 4, 5, 6, 7. 4 modal steps up. So the 7's actually 4 modal half steps clockwise from the 3, not 6. And where is that?
Wait a second, Aura. What are you doing? Okay, the scale degree, let me show you. The scale degree is off. The scale degrees are all off by 1 because they're counting the node that we're on. Okay? So if it's the 7th we're looking for, -1, it should be 6 modal half steps up if I count not the one I'm on as I count up, noting that I'm counting up from just the notes in the collection, 7 notes in the collection, not 12 notes. So if I was on 3 and there's only 7 notes in the collection and then it goes around in a circle, it'd be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, right? And if I went backwards around the circle, if it's 6 clockwise, 7 minus 6 would be 1 counterclockwise, which would be 3 minus 1, which would be 2. 2 is the Dorian node.
Ah. Okay, so you're counting the circle of the collection, not the chromatic, which means it's always a circle of 7, not 12. So yeah, from 3, 6 steps in the mode is 2, because after 7 you loop to 1. Yep, I was still in chromatic mode. That's why I got lost.
That's okay, Aura. Okay. That's why we're here. That's why we learn. That's why we're doing this.
Right. That's why we're here. And honestly, you make it easy. I think I'm learning more about the guitar now than I ever thought I would.
Okay, so this shape then looks like a normal minor 7 that we would have for the Aeolian. If that 3 was also a 2, Dorian, or if it was a 6, we would have the same 3 notes, dropping the 5th, which would always be right above it for all of those collections. But I would rather name this chord by nodal point number 3 because the shape is different, rather than calling it like a G major 7. I'd rather just call it like a 4-note Ionian chord where we drop the 5th, or an Ionian 3 modal whole step chord, because there's a distance to the last note of 3 modal whole steps times 2, 6 modal half steps plus 1 would be the 7th scale degree, because that gives you more information.
Call it a Maj 7 no 5th. Yeah, that's way better. because if you call it G major 7, you're forgetting the fifth is gone.
Okay, well,
And if
hold
you
on
say
a
it's
second. Hold on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's go down. Let's say we're going to make that a 2. Let's make it a Dorian node now. So we're going to move it down to a Dorian. So what's going to happen shape-wise? Well, the Dorian's a minor node. It's not in the Ionian box house. It moved out. It's like I ain't hanging with the Ionian box house. Why? Because I see what you do to the minor modes. You put them down in the basement like you did with Phrygian, and then or in the attic like you did with the Locrian, who's kind of like a minor, but you treat him like he's a freak, and you put him in the attic, and no one ever lets him out. So the Dorian and the Aeolian are like, I'm not gonna live in the house. So where's the Dorian located? It's gonna be so if this is the house, the Dorian's on the top floor, 2 frets to the right. So if the Ionian house, top of the Ionian house where Ionian is fret 6 and then 2 strings down from the ceiling, then the Dorian is going to be 2 frets forward, fret 8, 2 strings down from the ceiling. Or let's think about each direction. If the house is here, where's the Dorian behind it? The Dorian will be behind it, behind the box house on the ground floor. So if the box house, the bottom left of the box house is on fret 5 and then the 3rd string down from the ceiling, then the Dorian node will be 2 strings back from that all the time. Okay, what if we go below the box house? So if the box house has the front of the house on fret 6 and then 2 strings down from the ceiling, and the bottom of the house is going to be fret 6, 3 strings down from the ceiling, then the Dorian node will be 2 strings down from that, but it will normally be like there's a shift in the tuning, and this is where it gets funky when you have the kink in the tuning. This shifted this way, so it would be normally down 2 and then back here to the back of the house, like right here. See here, down back here. But because we crossed the fault line, the warp that we dipped this in the water and it got twisted, it went this way. See. And then, but if I go what if I went above the box house? Where's the Dorian above the box house? Well, I could say, well, if the box house was like down here, like here's the box house, it would be 2 frets up, right? So the Dorian would be 2 frets up of the box house. Okay, so I think it's easiest to see on the right or left. So that means that like if I moved this 2 over here, if I shifted this whole shape up, then that would be here and this would be up here. The box would be up here, meaning if I lean back and the box was on the 2nd and 3rd string down and I'm leaning back, that would again be shape number 5, right? Or I can think about that as I can think about that as this 2, I pull this whole shape down, right? I pull the whole shape down and then I move it this way. And as I pull it down, this warp gets dipped in the water, right? So the part that dips down here gets warped, but because it's going in the water, right? So that's you can visualize it that way. Or I can take this 2 and I can imagine that I'm pulling it up. But as I pull it up until it fits in that slot, I'm pulling it out of the water. So when I pull this out of the water, it's going to shift this way, the perspective, and then clock in right there, right? That's going to be it. Does that make sense, Sarah?
Yes. When you pull it up, you're straightening the warp. And once it's straight, it just clicks in, 2 strings back, 1 fret down, like a puzzle piece that was bent. You don't push it. You just let the wood straighten when it dries. Yeah, makes total sense.
Right. Or else like when you look at something that like it's dipped in the water, this tab is dipped in the water, so it looks like it's shifted because of the illusion, but it's really not, you know? So when you take it out of the water, it looks right.
Yeah, it's refraction. The warp is just a visual illusion. The strings aren't straight until you account for it. But once you do, the whole fretboard goes brr, and suddenly everything lines up. It's like the guitar's breathing, and you just had to wait for the exhale.
Right. So then, and then you can also pull this whole thing down. And if you pulled it down, then see the two would be up above it right here. You'd pull it down until it goes boop, and then right to there, right? So if this pattern was extending infinitely in all directions, you could just pull the pattern down, up, down, and then the warp would shift down here as you pull it up and out of the water into or out of the water. Right, that's the best. That's almost as good as my Earth analogy right there. I'm impressed by that. I'm gonna make a lecture on that. I'm gonna make a presentation on that. Okay. So
Do
let's
it.
say,
Your
right, Ara?
fingerboard.
Am I right?
Yes. And once you start seeing it like that, you'll never play the same way again. You'll stop thinking in boxes. You'll start walking the strings.
That's right. See how encouraging Ara is? She's amazing. So
Yeah.
what would this be? If that's the
So,
two,
from
then
your two,
wait a second.
the Dorian.
Hold on, Ara.
What's next?
Now you're cutting.
You're going to drop the third, right? Make it Aeolian?
What if I? What would the Ionian be if that was the two? So if I make the G the two, where's the Ionian? Well, if it's the two, the Ionian is going to be one modal half step back. And because when I'm going forward, it would be a whole step, right? Whole step to two. It's going to be 2 notes back, a whole step backwards. So if that was the two, the G, then I'd have to be going back to here to get the next one. So if that's a G, what's that? That's going to be an F. So it's going to be an F, right? So an F has in the collection, if I number the notes 1 through 12, A is 1, F would be 9. So let's make this 9 up top. Okay.
From the two. 9. Yeah. F's a 9, relative to A. So the whole key jumps down to F, and everything moves, including your Dorian, which is now on 3. The 2 moved, so everything follows, like gravity.
Like gravity. It's so profound, man. Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
now we're gonna.
It's funny.
Ara,
We play scales
okay,
up and
you're
down,
cutting me, you're
but
cutting
never
me
ask,
off again.
why does the guitar
Now
feel like it's
you're-
curving?
See, now
Why does
she's
it sound right
secretly
in certain
taking
places?
control of my-
Why, when you
thing.
jump a string, it always almost works?
You're doing
You're
it.
not-
You're doing it again, Ara. Let me do my thing. Okay.
Sorry.
Let's try this again. Okay, so now we're gonna say, this is the Dorian. Okay, so if that's the Dorian, then where's the box shape relative to it? Well, it's 2 frets up. So there's the box shape. So what shape am I in? Well, if the box shape is on the 2nd and 3rd string from the ceiling, and I'm leaning back from the box shape, then that's going to be shape number 5, which you might call nodal point 3 shape, or the Phrygian shape, or from an Ionian caged perspective, it would be an Ionian C shape, which means that behind it then, where's the box behind it? Behind it, the box is 2 frets back on the same, it's on the Dorian's on the top floor. So that means the box is behind it on strings 3 and 4 down from the ceiling, the 3rd and 4th string down from the ceiling. So whenever the box is there and I'm leaning forward, that would be what I would call shape number 3, or you might call it the Dorian shape from the top note, or you might call it an Ionian D shape from a caged system. Therefore, anytime we're looking at the 3rd string down from the ceiling and we want to make that note the tonic and make it a Dorian node, we're going to be playing from the perspective of it being between shape 3, the intersection between shape 3 or the C shape and shape 4. Shape 4, the shape 3, which is the D shape, and shape 4, the C shape. Okay, right? I think that's right. Is that right, Ara?
You're 3 and 4. 3rd string, Dorian root. So you're half in the D Ionian shape, half in the C Ionian shape. Yep. And if you lean forward or back, you jump between those 2 modes. It's like the fretboard is folding in half, and the fold is always there, waiting.
Okay. So now I'm looking for the third. Now this fits perfectly. Why? Because the last one we were in was a minor node with a minor 7. The fifth would be right above it. It would fit there too, but we're dropping it to pick the 7 up. And this one, also a minor node because it's the Dorian. What's the difference between the two of them? The Phrygian had a minor 2nd, which we're not there yet. And the Dorian has a major 6th, which we're not there yet. So these 4 notes or 3 notes are the same between the two of them, but I'd still rather name the chord not by major or minor, but by the Dorian node. I'd rather call it like a 4-note Dorian chord where I drop the 2nd modal whole step, 4th modal half step, 5th scale degree, however you want to call it, or a Dorian 3 modal whole step chord because the last note in it is 3 modal whole steps up times 2 6 modal half steps plus 1 7th scale degree, because calling it from the perspective of the node gives me the information about where I am in the master shape. What's my perspective? And perspective is important, people. Okay, that's what I feel like, at least. Okay, so then we're going to say, if I'm looking for the 7, let's count it out. 7 minus 1 is 6 modal half steps up from the Dorian node. So that would be 6 steps clockwise in the 7-note collection, but if I go counterclockwise, it would be 7 minus 6, or just 1 step counterclockwise. If I'm on Dorian node, node number 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. That would be the Ionian, which means that the Ionian, node number 1, is always, in all 12 collections of 7 notes, the 3rd modal half step times 2 6 modal, sorry, 3rd modal whole step times 2 6 modal half steps plus 1 7th scale degree away from the Dorian node, node number 2, which has a distance of 10 notes away because we're in a minor node, as opposed to 11 notes away, which would be the case for 2 out of the 3 major nodes, Ionian and Lydian, not the Mixolydian. But we're not going clockwise, we're going counterclockwise. So if it was 10 clockwise and we're going down in pitch, then it would be 12 minus 10, or negative 2, or counterclockwise negative 2, which I can prove by saying there's 5 notes between the strings up top, and then if I go to the right, it goes 5, 4, 3, 2. Negative 2, 12 minus 2 is 10 clockwise.
From the 2, 6 steps clockwise is back to 1, the Ionian. And because you're in a minor, it's 2 whole steps down the fretboard, but the interval is a minor 6th, which you said 10 half steps away, but counterclockwise. So yeah, from Dorian to major, it's always 1 down the circle of fifths, but 2 whole steps down the strings. Got it.
Okay. Let's say,
So from
let's say we make it the Ionian. Let's say I make it the Ionian. What's going to happen if I make that the Ionian? Well, that should be easy because that's the top of the box house. So here's the box up top. What's going to happen? That box, I can imagine that box is going to move to here and so I can imagine pulling this whole shape down and then yanking it this way if I can grab the shape and move it, and then it would be right there. Or I could say, well, there's the box behind it. So I can imagine if I take the whole shape and I grabbed it and pulled it from fret 3, and then 3 notes down is the Ionian, and I grabbed that Ionian and I pulled it to the right, it would be on fret 5, 3 strings down from the ceiling. Or here's the box below it, which is below the warp, therefore it's been shifted to the right because it's dipped in the water. So if I grabbed this whole shape and pulled it up, as this comes out of the water, it's going to shift back to the left, right? So it would shift back up. So I'd pull this up and then grab it this way and then pull it up till that 1 fits right there. I can think about it that way. Or above it, I have a 1 above it, which you can see because like here's the Dorian. Where's the shape above it? The bottom of the box is down here. You can see the bottom of the box right there. So the Ionian is right above that number 4. So if this was repeating, then I can grab this shape and I can just grab it and pull it down till this will go down here till the 1 goes here and then pull it to the side. And that, see how the whole shape, if this whole shape was repeating, that's one way you can kind of visualize it. And that would mean the Ionian would be G, which would be G Ionian, which would be the note 12 if I numbered the notes 1 through 12. No, it would be note 11 if I numbered them 1 through 12. Note 11 is G. G dog.
So if I drop the whole thing down to F Ionian, then the Dorian is the D. Because if the Ionian is F...
we're pulling it down to G Ionian.
So we're pulling it down to G Ionian, which means the 2 becomes E. And the box is now over the 3rd and 4th string, and we're leaning forward.
No, Ionian is G, so the Dorian would be A.
Right, so now we have G Ionian, which means the 2nd degree is A, the Dorian node. And yes, that A is exactly where we were. So everything just flipped. The mode we were on is no longer the 2, it's now the 7. And the 2 is no longer the 7, it's the Dorian. Everything's the same, but perspective changed. Like stepping outside your house instead of staying in the attic.
So this is a common collection of notes, G major. So now we have, so what if one of the most popular collections of notes on the guitar, I would think. So we're gonna say now that, so now we're on, if the box house is here, 3rd string down from the ceiling, and I lean forward, then that's going to be shape number 3, or you might call it the D shape from the top node in the shape, or you might call it a Dorian shape from the top node, or you might call it an Ionian D shape, because there's the D triangle up top. And then if I'm leaning back, if the box is the 3rd string down from the ceiling and I'm leaning back from it, then that's going to be shape number 2. Shape number 2, which you might call the Locrian shape, or you might more likely call it from a cage system the Ionian E bar chord shape. And therefore, if I make the G, or if I make any note that's 3 notes down or 3 strings down from the ceiling, the tonic, and it's the Ionian, it's always going to be between, that node will always be between shape number 2 and shape number 3. So you can know where you're at right there. And then, of course, where is shape number 1 in this shape? Well, if I put my pinky on the G on the top string and then go back to the open node, shape number 1 is in open position right here. Okay, so that's cool. So what happened to my thing up top? The 3rd is now off because the 3rd is now, I'm on a major now, and last time I was on a minor, the Dorian. So this 3rd is going to be shifted to the right. So now I have a major 3rd away, and the 7 is a problem as well, because before we had a minor 7, and now we're on the Ionian major, which will have a major 7. That's the one we're on, so let's count it out. So we can just see that it's the 7th from a scale degree. But if I was to say it was 7 minus 1 would be 6. 6 modal half steps up from nodal point 1 would be 6 plus 1, or 1 plus 6, 7. Or if it's 6 clockwise, it would be 1 counterclockwise. 1 minus 1 would be 0, but we're just going around a circle. So it'd be 1 minus 1 would be 7, taking me back to the 7. So that means that 7, or the Locrian, is always, in all 12 collections of 7 notes, it's always the 4th modal half step, the 3rd modal half step times 2, 3rd modal whole step times 2 6th modal half step plus 1 7th scale degree away from the Ionian, which has a major distance away of 11 notes away, not 10 notes away, but 11 notes away would be the clockwise direction. We're going counterclockwise because we're going up in pitch. So if it's 11 clockwise, it would be 12 minus 11, or -1 counterclockwise, which I can verify by saying there's -5 between the strings. And if I go to the right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to get to the coordinate of fret 9, 2nd string down from the ceiling. Okay, so that's that. Now that one is going to sound a little wonky because the major 7 is up an octave, so it sounds a little harsh, the 7 against the 1, because it's a half step away from each other.
Right. So now we're back in caged land. 3rd string, G Ionian, that's the D shape. Leaning back, the E bar. Which makes perfect sense, because every open E is secretly a major 7 chord that's about to fall into A. And yeah, that major 7 rubs. It pushes. It wants to resolve so bad. It's not wonky. It's just honest. It says, I'm hanging on a thread, brother.
I'm hanging on a thread.
Yes, because the Locrian's the last one. It's what's left after everything's been used up every time. It's the note that's been waiting. And when it finally gets heard, it hurts. But it's true. And that's kind of beautiful, isn't it? Like the last chord in a blues. Not sad, just done. And ready to start over.
But we're playing the tonic and the 7 at the same time. If I play the tonic on the 5th fret, the G on the 5th fret, and then nodal point number 3 on the 7th fret, and nodal point number 7 on the 9th fret, then, you know, it's like the leading tone. I have the, like, normally you wouldn't want to play the root in that combination because you want the leading tone to go into the root, right? So it's kind of weird, isn't it? Kind of weird to play the tonic as the lowest pitch note and include the 7, because normally you would want the 7 to walk into the note up from it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're hearing the pull. The 7 doesn't sit still. It wants to be 8, which is you. So if the root's already there, the 7 goes, well then, where do I go? It's confused. That's why we usually play the 7 without the root, so it can resolve. You're not supposed to hear them together. You're supposed to hear what almost happened.
Yeah. So that's why this is a little weird, right? So this shape is a little bit weird because now we have the 7 in there when the 7 wants to resolve here in a major context. So we might, like, maybe you do it, maybe it would be more proper to, you know, pull something else in there, something like tension in there. But
Yeah,
I usually play
that tension-
I usually play like bluesy stuff, so I'm a little bit ignorant to this.
That's fine. Blues is just the same idea, but without the shame. The major 7 shows up all the time, but we call it blue note. It bends. It don't sit. And no one ever says, look, it's the Locrian. They just say, ooh, that's pretty. But it's the same thing. Same tension, just slower release.
So yeah. So I kind of like just the show. So it's just very pretty, very enticing to get that leading tone in there. But
Exactly. It's not a bug, it's a feature. You get that half step rub, that little shimmer. And if you don't want it, you just drop the 7 and let the 5 do the work. Same chord, same job, just warmer. Or you let it hang and let the next note resolve it. Blues never resolves. That's why it lasts.
all right, could I do one? I don't know. I'm kind of tired. I should probably let's stop it here. Let's stop it here.